Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Chilluminati podcast, episode 63. As always, I am one of your hosts, Mike Martin, joined by my two co-hosts, Alex Fasciane and Jesse Cox.
Hi. Hello.
Hey. Hello, boys.
Hello.
Hey. Hi, Mathis. How are you?
I am great.
Hello.
How are you, Alex Fasciane?
I'm feeling great because this podcast is supported by our very own patrons at patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod, where you can join in the fun and get your own Patreon rewards right for your door.
We didn't even make it a minute. Not even a minute.
That was record-breaking. Record-breaking.
That was. Do we have nothing to say to each other now that we're just like, get to it? Just
we have pleasantries off mic. I just want to be real. Like,
yeah, we hung out.
We don't just call each other and then just start recording a podcast. We've already caught up.
Not with the audience.
Imagine if that's what we did.
How are you guys doing at home?
Very
interesting.
See, just like at least fake it.
Pause it until you're done telling it how you are, and then I'll react to it. Oh, wow. That's good. I like that. Ooh, I like to hear that from you guys.
I don't know. I think you should leave him.
Well, I killed those people, but you know, they deserved it. And Alex is like, wow, I like that.
I like that
a lot.
Yeah. I'm an accessory to this crime somehow.
Tier on Patreon. Alex will be your eyewitness that you were home alone for $50 a month.
I will be your eyewitness. If you sign up for Patreon, I will cover for you if you try to kill someone. That's not true. That's
I will
a joke.
not. No, I will.
Neither will I.
I will rat you out so quick. I'll be like, I knew they'd do it.
I'll tell you so hard I'll lie to get you arrested. Anyway, support us on Patreon. You get some good stuff. You get 15 more minutes of show right after this. And all the other extra 15 minutes of show that have ever been.
Plus the art, plus the behind the scenes stuff, plus access to the Discord and so on. We appreciate it. We wouldn't be able to do this every week without you guys.
It goes on and on, the benefits.
Speaking of, we wouldn't be able to do this episode without you guys because it's a fan story episode with some dreams sprinkled in for Jesse to interpret because apparently people really loved your interpretations, Jesse. So I will admit the dreams that were submitted, at least the ones that I could find, not that detailed. So we'll see how it goes.
Have I interpreted a dream on this podcast before? I don't
remember.
know.
You remember the toys? You remember the goblin stole the toys and we got into this whole thing about whether the goblin was real or whether it was just a manifestation of your own desire to move on from liking toys? Because it takes things from you and it tells you not to tell your parents.
I don't recall
that. Murdered something.
Did you get gaslit by your own demon? Did he visit you in the night and make a deal with you?
Don't seem to recall any sort of demon talk.
Oh my God. This was the most.
We've gotten to the point in the podcast where we do things and Jesse no longer remembers them.
Are you sure we had the conversation about a demon that was a toy or something that was like in a house?
No, their favorite mermaid, like their favorite mermaid Barbie would she offered it as a sacrifice
it was like,
or something.
I don't know what happened to my Barbie, Mom. And it would be like, actually, this demon took my Barbie and I never told my parents.
Well, because they would dream about it. They would dream about the goblin stealing their toys. And then when they wake up, their toys were missing.
That doesn't sound like anything we do on this show.
No, not at all.
Yes, it does. You fucking gaslighter.
Gaslighter.
I will not be your victim.
Listen, man, I would have gone on forever just trying to convince Jesse that we've done this. Well, we've got a bunch of stories. The first one I'm going to hand off actually to Alex to get us a nice little warm up. So, Alex, if you don't mind taking this first story right off the Reddit, it's yours to enjoy and read.
All right, this one's called Love Suicide Girl by ATW2399. Now, I've listened to the podcast recently and just caught up on every episode, and I love it. But that's beside the point.
I disagree. I feel like that is the point. I strongly disagree.
Let's end that one right there. Good job. I like that story. Anyway, all right, here we go. I got a ghost story for you all. This happened to me earlier today. At 4:30 a.m. I live in Little Rock, Arkansas. I like it hot off the presses like that. I live in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I have to go to Mamel for work. So it's about 30 to 40 minutes. So I was driving to work. That's a little Arkansas geography for you guys who aren't from Arkansas.
I know.
So it's about
Mamel,
30 to 40 minutes. So I was driving to work and I go down these roads that don't have many street lights. So your only light source most times is the headlights on your car. And I was just driving along up the road and I see this girl standing in the middle of the road. So I stop the car and get out and I call out to her and ask if she is okay. And she turns around to look at me and then I get a full look at her. She seemed normal looking, about my age, maybe a couple years younger. I'm 21. That's the person in the story, not me. I'm over 10 years older than that.
Alex is 21 years old.
I'm 21 years old. She had auburn hair, blue eyes, and pale skin. She was a pretty girl. But what caught my attention is the fact that she was wearing a white nightgown, but it was torn to shreds. So, in most cases, I'm like Jesse. I don't jump to the supernatural, so I thought at first that maybe she was kidnapped or was being assaulted, raped, or in an abusive situation. But as I got closer to her, we were maybe 6 feet apart, which is the absolute closest you should ever get to somebody right now, by the way.
Good social distancing.
She smiled, but her lips got bloody cracks around them, and her irises and pupils disappeared, and the rest of her eyes went bloodshot.
Super Saiyan 5, dude. No one's seen it
quickly. Yet. The only way I could describe her smile was that it was comic book Jokerish. Big and creepy. Yikes.
No, thank
then my
you.
car radio turned on, and the theme song for a game called The Rule of Rose starts playing.
I don't know if anybody knows that game. It's kind of good.
Yeah. And the name of the song is called Love Suicide. Okay. Now, beforehand, I was listening to an audiobook called The Knife of Dreams from the Wheel of Time series, but I turned it off before getting out of the car. So when I turned around to look at my car, I was officially terrified. Then I turned back around to the girl. I would have been terrified.
I would never looked away. Why would you turn away from the killer girl?
I was thinking that if I'm going to die, might as well face the thing that kills me. Good idea. But she was gone. And all that was left in the middle of the road was me, my car, and that song playing through the speakers. I'm just going to chalk this up to ghost and then move on with my life. And I hope that I haven't been pulled into a Grudge ripoff. I took a picture of the road while I was driving away, and I'll link when I figure it out. Posted a picture of the road if you want to look. It's called Love Suicide Girl Road. Should be right above this post.
So I looked at the picture. It's literally just a picture of a highway at night in Arkansas.
How crazy would it be if it was a picture of like a woman in white?
Then I would, clothes? My mind would be blown, or they pull in a great hoax.
Just sight unseen, this sounds horrifying.
Yes.
However, it sounds also like very cliche. It sounds very like exactly what you would expect.
I have a question. How are you so brave, ATW2399? How are you so brave that you literally are like, I'm just going to chalk it up to a ghost.
I would never stop thinking about this. I would never stop thinking about this.
I would be in a mental institution. If I saw this, I would be a crazy person right now. They would have to drug me every day in order to get me to go to bed. Because I'd be
Chilluminati
terrified.
podcast would be over. I would be in the woods with microphones and
Alex and I go
of all
wandering
different
off.
kinds.
Are you kidding me? I would be, if I saw this and then the radio started playing, I would be like,
so, okay. What you're telling me, Jesse, what you're telling me is that is when we eventually get to go do our live special, if you actually see a ghost, it's the end of the podcast. That's it. You go off.
Here's the thing. I'm so confident I won't, though, that I know it won't be the end of the podcast. We'll be doing this for many years because I won't see a ghost because it's not a real thing.
The thing that blows my mind is he's like, her irises and pupils disappear and the rest of her eyes went bloodshot. And he wasn't like,
yeah, he was like, he's like, I gotta look back at my car for a second.
Yeah. Where did that song come from that PS2 game?
I also enjoy the fact that he's like, I'm like Jesse most of the time, immediately followed by, I'm just going to chalk it up to a ghost.
I'm just saying you are a braver man than I.
Yeah.
I could not handle this.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
And I don't know. Like the first thing is like, it's a girl on the side of the road in a nightgown that's ripped up. I wouldn't be like, are you fine? No, you're a ghost. I would have been like, hey,
from a distance.
Hey, are you okay? I'd be like on the phone with the cops already. I'd be like, there's a girl. Hey, hold on, don't go anywhere.
Yeah, I would not have left the car. And that because here's the real truth. It's not that I would think that it's a girl who's in trouble or my first thought would be like, oh, this is a setup.
This is like a trap.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get robbed.
There's
murdered.
a girl in the middle of the road. I'd be like, someone is waiting in the woods to rob my ass.
You're gonna like look left and there's like a car on fire, just like.
So you're saying the real
hills.
horrifying aspect of the story is that a 21-year-old saw a girl on the road, and so his mind just went out and was like, I gotta save her.
That's not what I said at all. That's not. I did not say that at all.
Younger, you're braver. See, no, I disagree. I think at 20, 21, you think you're invincible. Cute girl on the road. Maybe she needs some help. You want to play the hero. You get out.
She was like in distress.
No, he said she was pretty, and then the nightgown was ripped up.
Is that what he said?
Yeah,
Pretty?
yes.
Yeah, he said, first of all, let's be honest, she was pretty, but what caught my attention was the fact that she was wearing a shredded nightgown.
Oh, interesting. Well, I mean, beauty's
Hormones,
subjective.
man. Hormones. Well,
What I'm hearing is that when you're 21, you actually are invincible and that you should go towards the paranormal if it presents
Yeah, if
itself.
anything,
Yes.
you're fine. The ghosts aren't going to mess with you.
no.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So
Well, thank
when
you,
you age
AW,
up-
for that
Yeah.
story.
Very
We are
scary.
enlightened.
Very, like, shout out to the extremely specific music choice and also, like, the name drop of the Wheel of Time audiobook that really, like, colors this whole story for me a little better. So thank
Took
you.
me right on in.
Yeah.
I'll take this next story. This one's called My UFO Story by Wisp on the West. Hey, I have recently
Hey.
started listening to your podcast.
Hey.
And
Hey, dude.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey.
What's up, man? Hey, Wisp.
Hey, how's it going, Wisp?
Oh, got him. Here we go. Anyway, and have been hardcore binging it at work and on my commutes. I've had a few paranormal
Can I ask
experiences.
you a question? Do you think if we read these people's stories and then I openly mock them, they ever listen again?
I hope so.
They knew what they were signing up for.
Do you think they're upset with me? Am I getting a letter that's like, Jesse, I did
think
see
if
that
you-
ghost?
I think they expected at this point.
I feel like you would get sued. We would get sued if you didn't like talk shit on the story.
All
like the
right,
comments I
I
get-
signed up for the Chilluminati. I wanted Alex to kind of agree with it. I wanted Mathis to believe me sight unseen. I want Jesse to tell me it's never going to happen.
It's true.
That is
It's true.
exactly what every episode is. Okay.
A lot of the comments are either like, just podcast would be insane without Jesse. Thank God he's here. Or the other side, Jesse makes everything a drag, dude. He always has to be skeptical.
Why does he have to not believe in these crazy things that they come up with?
I want
love
to
it.
believe in them.
It's not like we're listening to the murder ones and Jesse's like, nobody died. Like
Tommy Patera story, 60 plus dead. And Jesse's like, I don't know, man.
I
That
don't
seems
think that
unbelievable.
happened. There's not really evidence to it.
Oh, God. Anyway, this particular person has had a few paranormal experiences, but only one time involving aliens. I can't confirm nor deny what I had seen, but all I know is that it had most everyone in the car spooked and questioning what we saw this day. I had to
you
have been
can't
around,
confirm or deny. Does that mean he's not going to tell us what he saw?
well, we're going to see what he's going to tell us what he saw, but like most UFO sightings, it's hard to say it's one or the other.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I thought he was just going to like be like, and then I saw it. But what I saw,
And then a gray.
I will never divulge.
Yeah, maybe it's just the wrong phrase to use there.
Maybe. Yeah. I had to have been around 5 years old. It was after my parents had divorced, and all I remember of this time was how distraught I was by the divorce and having to switch off with my parents on the weekends. One of my weekends with my dad, we had gone to the movies with one of my stepmom's friends and her daughter. We were driving down State Route 7 between Puyallup, Puyallup,
It's Puyallup.
and my hometown, Morton. It's a long road with sharp turns that winds through the valley. The only street lamps were for the entrances to Northwest Trek and a few neighborhoods. So it's an otherwise dark road at night. The specific area of the road where this happens is also a dead zone for even the best phone service available, like Verizon.
Okay, whoa. Let's take the fucking brand deal out of this fucking story here. Okay?
Capitalized as well, like properly placed into this,
I want to
story.
say I'm an AT&T customer and I've never once been dissatisfied with their level of coverage, especially in this area.
But they're still the worst.
Okay, look, I'm not going to confirm nor deny whether or not AT&T is the worst.
I remember the exact spot of the highway that had happened. There was an old, worn-out barn that had been used for haunted barn events during October that has now been sold and doesn't host these events anymore. So the barn sat on the right side of the highway if you are southbound, and to the left was a house with a wide-open view of land that sloped down into the valley, with a mountain silhouette against the dark blue sky. On that mountain was a tower that would flash a small red light at the top every few seconds.
Does every town have one of those? We all do, right? There's
think
that
so.
one fucking tower with the radio tower on it that flashes.
Gotta give that red light so
It just gives you that little mysterious vibe. Every town has one somewhere.
Yeah. This is where we saw a long black silhouette and a line of small orange lights on that silhouette hovering above the tower. It seemed as though the line of lights were revolving, as they would appear on one end and disappear on the other. I remember just staring at it in awe, and my dad and stepmom's friend calmly whispering to each other as they also observed what I was seeing. I had asked, "What is that?" But I don't remember ever being answered and thought maybe it was a normal thing that I just hadn't seen yet. After all, I was 5, there was still so much unknown to me.
That is a very emotionally mature 5-year-old. Maybe I just don't know about this.
I have a feeling he's more looking back at it and being like, yeah, I was 5. I did a lot. You know, I didn't know.
Just imagining a toddler like, you know what? Some things are beyond me at this point.
Yeah,
I will just wait until I have understanding. I wish people still thought like that.
That would be wonderful. Our view would be obstructed after about 45 seconds by trees, and I would continue to try to peer through the trees to see it, but the foliage was too heavy. I don't remember much about the rest of the drive. I'm sure I was trying to keep a lookout for the lights again, but never saw them again, thus leaving it unmemorable to me. I had asked my dad years later when I was in middle school, and remembering this experience about it and realizing it still doesn't line up with anything I had learned, except my recent obsession: aliens. He had told me he had no idea what it was and still had no clue, but he does have a strong conspiracy that it was alien technology or a vehicle, and that he and my stepmom's friend had tried to remain calm about it on the drive because they didn't want to scare the kids. Although the other little girl was asleep and has no idea any of this happened. Note, she has a mental disability where she only has the mental capacity of an 8-year-old, so this story hasn't ever been told to her, I believe. This discovery of the value of what I had seen had sent me deeper into an alien frenzy. My friend, I know that feeling. You're not alone.
Shout outs to all the middle school alien kids. That's a hard time to be an alien fan.
Yeah, man. The aliens didn't really hit me until high school. High school, I went to alien.
When you're the kid who rolls up and you've got the like X-Files comic book, I guess it's different now. But when I was a kid, it was not cool to roll up with like the nerdy, like UFO, like with the black, with the like green LCD, like numbers, letter font, like mysterious files with a starry background.
I mean, yeah, a lot of the things that are super popular now were just, you know, the things that were the laughing stock to when we were like younger. Continuing though, so he jumped into an alien frenzy for a couple more years until high school distracted me. So all this tall whites, grays things is all new to me and is so interesting. So that was my experience. Not much, but I would like to add a little side story. Now, this isn't my story. This is from my ex from when we were still dating. This had happened in the same area.
Well, hold on. Let's just be accurate here for editorial sake.
I didn't leave that out. You know,
like there's no name, there's no address here.
That's true. All right, I'll reread the first sentence with appropriate.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't my story. This is my ex's. Fuck them. From when we were still dating. I understand that feeling too. I think we all do. This had happened in the same area, not the exact same spot, but within 25 miles. This is in Eatonville, Washington. Sorry. My ex and his uncle had gone for a drive to the dispensary, which is about a 25-minute drive. They were on their way back, and this is still during the daytime, when suddenly a huge gap of time had just passed, and they were sitting in their truck on the side of the road, already back home, just outside of town. He said neither of them had any recollection of the past hour. This was the first time I had ever heard of this happening, so when I had listened to your story about the hills, this story resurfaced in my memories. Now, as a disclaimer, my ex was a gaslighting, lying cheater who fucking knows. I still found the similarities of the stories interesting and wanted to share. Thank you guys for keeping it interesting and sending my mind reeling every story you share. Can't wait to binge the rest of the series and catch up.
Honestly, that was me leaving for college every morning at 4 a.m. because I had a 6 a.m. math class and just being like, how did I get here? How did I get from my house to this place 50 miles away? How did I travel that distance?
I mean, if that stretch of area is known for UFOs, I mean, you know, common type things, missing time, all that stuff, that's very common in an area kind of rife with abduction scenarios.
I will say this, though. Compared to the last story where I was like thinking the whole time, like I would be screaming, hitting, running, yelling, leaping to my death somehow. like this story, the idea of it being calm because it's like far away on a hillside and you're just kind of like looking at it with your kids, like being like, what the fuck is that? Like I could totally see that. If it didn't like start shooting a laser beam down or something like that, like, you know, you just kind of have to be like, what the fuck am I looking at right now?
The next two are actually for Jesse. They're both relatively short, and they're both
delicious
dreams. They're both dreams. Take it away.
The Laughing Man Dream by Scooter McScoots.
That's made up. No.
I feel like that's not a real name.
It's a Jesse character. Scooter McScoots.
Scooter McScoots.
Scooter McScoots.
This is a dream I had when I was around 7 years old. Okay, interesting. I'll remember 7 years old. I can't remember much about what was happening to me around this time. The dream has always stuck out to me, and I can remember it quite vividly 20 plus years later. The dream starts out with me around 15-foot walls to either side of me that seem to stretch out as far as I can see. A man on top of the wall starts laughing. I get the feeling I should start running, so I do. The man then releases a cheetah. Releases a cheetah to chase after me. I start running as hard as I can, but it doesn't matter. Eventually, the cheetah catches up to me and leaps towards me. As he is about to sink his teeth into my neck, I pass out.
This is what Batman dreams about.
I already have ideas. I wake up still in the dream, except now I'm strapped to a spinning wheel. Like the one knife thrower's assistant gets... Okay, yeah. As I'm spinning, I see the man again, still laughing. The next thing I notice is the carcass of the cheetah on the ground next to the man. It had been gutted. The man then reaches into the carcass and start pulling out organs and throwing them at me. This goes on for a while before I wake up. Let's see what you got, Jesse. Okay. First off, dream. So I don't know what was going on with you at 7, but I love that this sticks with you all those years later because it kind of relates to, I think, what's going on in this dream. Walls in dreams. By the way, that was walls in dreams. Walls in dreams represent like boundaries or obstacles, right?
That's what they represent in real life too, funnily enough.
Yeah, you're right. But they represent like there's something in your life preventing you from something, right? And you're saying it's like surrounding you. So it's on all sides and it literally is like walling you off from something. It is something that you're like, I don't know, it's either a bad relationship or you've built those walls yourself and you're protecting yourself from something, whatever the case may be. You then get chased by a cheetah. I don't know what cheetahs mean.
I know what do
like
cheetahs
where are you
represent?
from that you're thinking of a cheetah is the question. Like how is that the default animal? I guess if you know about a cheetah. But when you're 7, like you know about a cheetah from a zoo book.
I do know that cats, like tigers and things like that, if they're in your dream chasing you, it represents the idea that like this thing is a problem and it's hunting you down. And because you got caught, you can't outrun your problems is what it's signifying. And I think that just doing a cursory search of cheetah dreams, it's apparently cheetahs signify getting up and moving. So maybe the idea is that you can't, the reason why it's a cheetah and not like a tiger or a lion is because you can't outrun it, right? Whatever these problems are that you're facing, you can't outrun those problems. But at the same time, in order to fix the wall issue, right, you have to like get up and start moving, start doing something about those problems. It's like a double. It's hitting you from all different angles. The dream.
I've always heard that getting chased by a tiger like literally means that you're like running from your problems.
Yeah. It's and the cheetah. It's saying then a cheetah signifies like doing something. Like a cheetah in your dream is like, because cheetahs are so fast and cheetahs like move around a lot. The idea is like you are now being like, that's your call to action to like do something about your problems.
You need to go eat some cheesy, delicious chips.
And then the laughing man throws the cheetah guts in your face.
Yeah, well, the idea is that you're strapped down to the spinning wheel, which is, you can't escape, and it's a dangerous act that you're a part of. And this guy's taking the parts of the cheetah, this thing that's like, hey, get up and do something, and throwing them in your face. And I would almost be willing to say that in that case, the laughing man, this is like one of those dreams that if you could control your dreams, like when people can control their dreams, this is like one of those things where you find that the laughing man is not actually scary. The laughing man is like
or something.
Yeah, like one of those things where the laughing man is this person that's kind of like, get over it. Like the laughing man's on the wall. The laughing man is taking the parts of the cheetah, this trouble that's harassing you, and throwing it in your face, just like, come on, you got this. Stop being like,
he doesn't take it serious.
Yeah. Because it's not a serious thing to laugh.
That's why he's laughing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. We broke that. I say we. Jesse, you broke that dream down.
I had to look up cheetah. I had no idea. I don't know. I didn't know it's cheetah.
Worked. Yeah. All right, Jesse, this next dream is yours as well. It's another even shorter one, but I enjoyed it.
All right. A gifted saucer dream. Mikey the fish. Hey, Mikey the fish.
Mikey the fish.
Hey.
Here's a short one. I had this dream. I was standing outside looking at the sky when these fireworks start going off. In the glare of this firework, I saw generic movie-style flying saucers dropping huge presents on parachutes. I remember the military quickly coming and grabbing them, but I somehow got a hold of one of these and brought it in. I stared at it, wanted to open it, but too scared for some reason. That's all I remember. Like I said, it was a short one, but I remember it was pretty fucking cool. All right, here's what I'll say about this. The fireworks, right? The symbol of the fireworks, and it's like an event, right? It's special. It's this beautiful thing in the sky. It is electrifying. Like when fireworks go off, everyone notices, right? It's an important thing that's happening. And these fireworks are like presenting aliens, which is out of this world. It's this amazing thing, right? And then they're dropping gifts. They're dropping amazing gifts, and people are snatching up these gifts, these wonderful presents, and you get one. You're lucky enough to get one, and you're so afraid to open it. And I think the whole thing translates into you need to take more chances, and it's yourself telling you like, hey, embrace good things when they happen to you. Embrace the nice things that happen to you. And don't be afraid to like accept the gift of like when something cool happens to your life. Don't like shy away from like grabbing it and then taking it for yourself when you have that opportunity. When something rare and crazy happens, like go for it. Is what your brain's telling you.
You can even think of fireworks as like an explosion, of like release, like a awakening. You could come, you could be alive, and then you get the present that's in the box.
Yeah.
If you keep opening it, you get it?
Well, yeah, but you have to. I mean, sure, that could be it, but you're too afraid. You're too afraid to open the box.
You hear? You're a bitch, dude.
That's not what I said at all.
You're invincible. You're 21. Look at you. No, I think.
Go up to that ghost. Fight that ghost.
My favorite part about this dream is that at the end, it's like I said, it was a short one, but I remember it was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, he's into it, dude.
He was like sick.
If we need more, by the way, we've got one more dream I'll read off to you if we need more stories. The next story is simply called "At the Foot of My Bed" by Robo3687. Bot, not real, fake. Yeah. I've been catching up on a lot of Chilluminati episodes lately, and it's got me thinking about some weird stuff that's happened to me in the past. I also want to say that I very much consider myself to be a non-believer and a skeptic. So here's a bit of background on the house that this event took place in. The house was built in the mid to late 80s, 88, I think. He lived there since he was 93, when he was 6 years old. Only one prior set of owners, both of them now deceased, and unsure what was on the land beforehand. So a little bit of minimal knowledge on the history of the land prior to the house. For several years, between 2009 and mid-2013, I would periodically wake up in the middle of the night to see a figure at the foot of my bed. The figure was a pale gray, white, featureless, faceless, human-shaped silhouette.
I'm so good on that. No, thank you.
Immediately, I'm out. I don't want to be here.
No.
If you think about when you look at something against a bright background and then you close your eyes, you see a negative after image silhouette, and you'll get an idea of what I was seeing. Except the room was always pitch black and I could see next to nothing normally. Often when I would see it, it would be poking its head up and over the end of the bed. Sometimes it would just be standing there. And sometimes it would be half crawled over the foot of the bed as if it were coming toward me. Every time I would turn the lights on, jump out of bed, and it would be gone. It would then take a few minutes to process that nothing was there, and I'd eventually go back to sleep and not think much more about it. In mid-2013, we swapped some stuff around in our house, and I moved my bedroom down the hall, swapping it with the study as it was a bigger room. I haven't seen the figure since. All good, right? Well, maybe not. Here's a rough map of this part of the house. The hallway is about 30 feet long, so we did draw up a little bit of a map I will try to endeavor to put it in the comment section, but if not, it's over on the subreddit.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, we can all go look at it. No
I do
problem.
have some questions about the secret rooms, but okay.
The secret rooms of just like
because it says
no entrance
old room,
there.
bathroom, 3 possible rooms, new room.
Yeah,
secret room.
Ever since I swapped rooms at night when getting up to use the bathroom, I always get creeped out walking back down the hall to my room in the dark. I almost always fast walk back my way back and close the door behind me. With that in mind, 6 months after swapping rooms, early 2014, as I was leaving the bathroom at around 1 o'clock in the morning, I blacked out. I pinballed off the walls and was on the floor. I came to fairly quickly, and upon reaching my room without closing the door, blacked out again. My brother found me crumpled over the lounge in there, and I soon came to. I didn't hit my head, it just ended up with a big bruise on one arm. Sorry, Alex, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
I was just remarking.
Oh, yeah, it's bizarre. Long story short, doctors ran a bunch of tests over the next few months, but as far as they could find, there was nothing wrong and no reason why it should have happened. I then spent almost all of 2014 with an overwhelming irrational fear of dying, to the point of seeing a therapist and needing my mother to sleep in the next room. It was a bad time. But I haven't blacked out since. Cool. Well, maybe not.
How are there so many plot twists?
It just keeps on. The twists keep coming,
Well,
dude.
maybe not.
Ooh.
I moved rooms and I was abducted by aliens.
In the years since, I have still been having situations similar to the guy at the end of my bed. For an example, waking up, seeing and hearing something, and there being nothing there. I will note that I have a small set of lights that keep my room partially illuminated now, rather than just having it be pitch black. The thing is, though, it's always something to do with my door. A few examples. I'll hear someone knocking on the door and will have gotten up and opened it before I realize I'm actually awake and there's nothing there. I'll hear noises on the other side of the door, talking, banging, like something falling over. Sometimes I'll roll over in bed and see that my door is open, get up to close it only to find out it's all obviously already closed. Just a few nights ago, I rolled over and saw my door entirely broken off its hinges. Weirdly, I distinctly remember saying out loud, "That's weird. I should have heard that happen." I've never seen the figure on the other side of the door. So that's weird, but it's not the last part of the story.
How is that not the last part?
Over the last 10 years or so that this has been happening, we've been having some structural issues with our house. The floor has been starting to sink in parts of the home, and the rest, in the most prominent part of the house that has sunk in my old bedroom, it's almost the epicenter of the sinking, if you will. The other part that is most noticeable is just outside the door to my current room, where the figure keeps banging on my door. The other weird thing about our unstable floor is that I seem to be the only one who notices it. Whenever I point it out to anyone else in the house or say, "Hey, maybe we should get someone to look at it," they say they'd never really noticed a problem with it. It's very weird to me. And that's it. It's either a bunch of coincidences smashed together by my brain after listening to the podcast too much, or there's a ghost being that's tried to climb onto my bed, chase me down the hall, knock me out, get into my room, and is now trying to bring my house down around me after tormenting me for a decade. All I'll say is I'm glad I'm a skeptic, because if I wasn't, I would not be having a great time right now.
I mean,
here's all I'm going to say. I think when you left your room, you were really upset that ghost who was like your friend and you had been with him for so long, and he was just looking at you, checking you out. He's probably making sure you were okay. He's probably looking over your bed like, "Go to sleep, my little prince. Are you okay, little boy? Yeah, I hope you have a good night." He like pets you on the head, and you got up and left. And now outside your door, like talking to himself, all those whispers are like, I wonder if he misses me because I miss him, but I'm too afraid to go in the room. Right?
Humans get texts from ghosts.
Yeah, what if I could be his friend, his ghost friend? Because he doesn't have any mouth, or he can't like smile at you.
He's featureless.
So you wouldn't know. All I'm saying is, don't judge this ghost just because he weighs a lot and is slowly destroying your house. Don't judge. That's rude.
He just wants a friend.
That's my thoughts.
He just
Real
wants a
talk
friend.
as a skeptic, like you got to entertain the possibility that this is like textbook sleep paralysis.
Yes.
Sure. That's what it sounds like.
Like if you look into this and you have a sleep study done, which I encourage you to do if it's really bothering you that much, like you should go have it checked out, because literally what the symptoms are of sleep paralysis, the things that you notice are like a feeling of being watched, things that couldn't possibly be happening in the moments after you wake up, happening in your room. Like the feeling of pressure or a presence around you while you're waking up from a sleep and feeling like it's looking at you, or seeing it there and it being like a formless creature.
Yeah.
My mom would wake up to constantly having a tall, dark figure standing over the bed, just looming over her. Classic. Like sleep paralysis.
It is. Yeah. Not like even in like a dismissive way. It's 100% like, if we had to get a textbook version of what sleep paralysis is like, this is completely it. Like
I've had
seeing a thing or noticing a thing, and then in that split second it's gone. It's your brain is just like revving up again. And although being the skeptic, I have to say maybe I'm skeptical of that solution. Maybe in that moment where your brain's turning on, that's when you fully have access to the other realms.
Because remember, everything you see is only what your brain is telling you you're seeing. And the filter's off when you wake up, and you're just taking
maybe when
reality.
you wake up, the filter's off.
I woke up one time and turned over, and I have like my computer desk is in my room, and I turned over and looked towards my desk, and standing on my desk were two like cloaked figures in like leather bags where you couldn't see their faces really. And I was like,
Organization 13 showing up in
like
your house?
literally, but like more like Nemesis vibes. Like you couldn't see their face, like zipped up. Like, and I looked and I was like, and then they were just, I don't even like, they just weren't there anymore. It's super weird. It's just, I mean, that's what it is. It's sleep paralysis.
Yeah. I had a moment, there was like a good week or so in my point in my life a couple of years ago where I would wake up like for a couple days during the week and I would see enormous spiders on my ceiling, like huge. But I like, it's like not real, and I could get up and walk over to them and like get close, and eventually they just like kind of meld with the wall. And you'd be like, God, my brain is all fucking weird.
So weird, yeah.
This next one, boys, is simply called The 3 Ghosts in My Childhood Bedroom by Hachi Psycho. I probably butchered the pronunciation. I apologize.
Oh, I don't see that one.
Nope, this is extras that I stashed away in case what I put in the thing was not enough. Before I get into the story, I need to write a quick disclaimer. All of what I'm about to write is exactly what I remember experiencing, and I swear by it all. Having said that, I no longer believe in ghosts or spirits, despite still knowing it all happened. At this point, I believe it was down to coincidences and the overactive imagination of children. The human brain is far from perfect, as we all know. And even though I don't believe, I find the supernatural fascinating, obviously, since I listen to Chilluminati, and I know many feel the same way I do. Because of this, I've decided to share my story, as it might be interesting both to the people who believe and to the people who don't. I will tell it as factually as possible and exactly how I remember it, and I will not poo-poo it during the story. And then in parentheses it says, that's Jesse's job. Buckle up. This is a wild story. When I was a little 3-year-old girl and my mother was pregnant with my sister, my parents decided to move their growing family. They left their small apartment and moved to a big house in southern Sweden that had previously been an old farm. It was an old house, so my parents rebuilt it, doing large parts on their own. The property belonging to the house was massive and included a barn, a tiny stable, a woodshed, and a few small fields for horses. It was an idyllic place to grow up. A few years later, they bought a summer home just outside the town my mother grew up in, located about an hour away from home by car. This house was far older and also completely run down and dilapidated. My mother, with the help of her carpenter brother-in-law, who lived only minutes away, set about refurbishing the entire house. It was a classic spooky abandoned house, dusty and dark, complete with nothing but stinging weeds in the backyard. They had to rebuild everything except the base frame and outside walls, which were renovated. I distinctly remember we found a small rusty statuette of a dog in the earth as we dug it all up. We guessed that at some point someone had buried their pet in the yard and marked it. We cleaned the statuette up and kept it in the house.
Yeah, there's your first mistake.
Classic horror movie mistake numero
Cleaned the statuette up and took it into our house.
Our old house that we were rebuilding.
Yep, no.
We buried the statuette and burned it and hid it away forever so that no one will ever be
and
tormented by it.
And abandoned the home, never to go back.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of summers in that house around the age of 9 to 13, my room being on the second floor, which was built and finished last. At the start, we'd sleep on the mattresses on the floor, giddy from a day of playing around in the nearby field and the garden my mom was slowly fixing. Eventually, we'd put in a door and proper furniture, and I finally had my own room there on the second floor and in the gable with slanted walls leading up to the ceiling. Around this age, I started getting very interested in the paranormal. My cousin was into Wicca and tarot cards, so I tried some with her. We saw shadows and ghosts out of the corners of her eyes. I also bought a tarot deck, read up on Wicca, and I used a Ouija board with friends very often. We would make our own board using just pen and paper. We'd light a candle, put a drinking glass over the candle to put it out, and then place the glass on the paper. Everyone put their fingers in the glass, and we'd ask questions of ghosts and spirits. The first question was always, "Is anyone there?" Followed by, "Who are you?" The glass would travel quickly and smoothly over the paper, deftly spelling things out for us. We did this a lot over the summer. A few times we tried to take turns being the only one not with the finger on the glass to see if it would still move. Once we even tried pushing it on our own. It was very difficult because the glass we used was pretty big and it looked very obvious. In other words, to this day, I can attest to the glass moving without intentional input from the people with fingers lightly placed on top. You'll have to decide for yourselves if you think it's ghosts, though. Around this time, I started seeing ghosts in my room when I was trying to sleep. As I'm sure Mike would point out, yes, this was while I went through puberty. It happens a lot when it's where a lot of poltergeist activity happens. To be fair, it was more feeling ghosts rather than seeing them. Although if you'd asked me at the time, I would have been able to tell you exactly where in the room they were and roughly what they looked like. I would lie in my bed, staring out into the dark room, and knew they were there. My brain added what they looked like inside my head, just like how when people used to animate movies, they'd put a transparent cell with an animated character painted on it over the painted background. The two are separate but create one solid image, just like what I was seeing with my eyes and what my brain was adding. To me at the time, this was me feeling and thus, quote, seeing something that was there but invisible. I would generally see 3 ghosts in my room. I saw an older man with whom I had the least interactions. I also saw a teenage boy with whom I had the most interactions. And lastly, I saw a young little girl. She was the only one I was afraid of, though not at first. The older man was at least 50 or 60 years old. He never did anything but stand still far away from my bed. Often he would stand facing a corner or staring into a wall. He was the most difficult for me to see clearly and never did anything, so he didn't bother me much, even if he was creepy. The young man was often sticking out of walls at an angle like he was floating in the air and peeking out halfway through the wall, looking down at me. He was usually the closest to me and I wasn't scared of him. He felt safe and mostly just watched me. I didn't like the girl. She had long dark hair and was dressed in bright dresses or nightgowns. She couldn't have been more than 8 at most and was often sitting or standing far away in the room, watching me. She made me very uncomfortable, and I often couldn't sleep because of the feeling, even on nights when I couldn't see her at all. Through the Ouija boards we made, I had contact with both the teenage boy and maybe later the little girl. Me and 2 female friends used Ouija boards a lot. It was with them I got contact with the teenage boy. He said his name was Patrick. He was 16 years old when he died, and when we asked how he died, I think he said something about drowning, but I don't remember too clearly. It seemed rude and cruel to make him talk about his death too much. We talked to him and other friendly spirits a lot for well over a year. He claimed he was always with me and wanted to protect me. A different time while using a Ouija board, a male childhood friend and some others we had very strange results. They were using it with some of their childhood friends and they had some very strange results, I think is what I meant to read. The glass would move slowly and randomly stop, sometimes changing directions, and it would spell out mostly garbled nonsense. When asked who it was, it said SYJT or Sigit.
Always?
I guess.
Interesting.
It would almost mock us with its answers, once answering no to the question if anyone was there. It felt threatening and it made me scared. It made me feel the same that the little girl I saw in my room made me feel, so I asked if it was her. The glass answered yes. Even so, at the time, I thought it could have just been, Even so, at the time, I thought it could have just as well been a different malevolent ghost simply lying to us. I remember that session ending with one child crying and my dad yelling at us all for doing things that scared us. So we finally come home to the So we finally come to the best part of the story, that one terrifying night. I estimate that at the time I was about 16 or 17 years old. It was in the middle of a hot summer, and I'd brought my male childhood friend to stay with us for a few days at the summer home. One particular night, Mom had brought me, my friend, and my younger sister with her to some friends. We didn't know anyone there, were terribly bored, and just wanted to go home. The party lasted far too long, and by the time we left, it was the middle of the night and almost pitch black outside despite it being summer. All four of us biked home. As we were riding our bikes through the nearby forest, still far from home, my mom had the brilliant idea of telling us kids something she just remembered. She said, "Hey, remember the other day when we were going to the beach and we were sitting in the car at the railway crossing for several minutes but no train ever showed up?" As she was talking about this, we were minutes away from biking out of the forest to ride alongside the railway in the dark. She continued and explained that the reason the bars had lowered and stayed there for so long was that there had been an accident. Someone had jumped in front of the train. My sister almost instantly started crying. Yeah, I guess that's why the train was late, was because someone got hit by the train. My sister was almost instantly started crying, and we were all shaken. I remember yelling at my mom, "Why would you tell us that now?" Suddenly, we were all terrified, and everything looked like ghosts and monsters. Every single branch and shadow was now a ghost or a hand reaching for us. We were tired and scared. I vividly remember that when we got to the railway lines, I saw a contorting black shadow crawl across the railways. When we finally got home, we were exhausted, but not at all tired due to the adrenaline and fear. My friend and I got ready for bed as we told each other all of the creepy things we'd seen along the way. I slept in my bed, and my friend slept in a little extra bed you could pull out from underneath mine. We were silent only for a few minutes before we confirmed it with each other. My three ghosts were in the room: the old man, the teenage boy Patrick, and the little girl. The old man was far away in the corner as usual. The little girl was sitting hunched in a ball in the dark space under my computer desk, staring at us. The desk was located only a couple feet from the foot of our bed.
The friend saw this too?
Apparently. Here we go. My friend who was on my left was thus closer to her. The chair for the computer desk was almost at his feet. Patrick was right above me, sticking out of the wall of my bed. Patrick was right above me, sticking out of the wall. My bed was propped up against, staring at the girl just like me and my friend. We talked for a while in quiet hushed tones about where the ghosts were in the room, confirming with each other that we saw the same things. Then a silence fell over us. After a minute or so, I became aware that the little girl was no longer hunched under the desk. She was sitting in my chair, which I'd unfortunately left facing us. The closer she got, the lower Patrick floated down toward me. Then my friend spoke up in the silence. I will never forget it. "She's closer now. Can you feel that?" I was terrified. I managed to respond. Yeah. I managed to respond, "Yes, I know." We didn't talk again after that. Many minutes passed. I was petrified, scared stiff. At some point, the girl stood up, Patrick moving down closer to me again, hovering over me. Then, in a split second, the girl flew right at me, charging violently across the room entirely without sound, across the foot of my bed, and dove inside of me, through me. At that exact same moment, Patrick also dove down and fell through me. It was like he forced her out and replaced her, both of them disappearing. After that moment, I was frozen, but I saw nothing and felt nothing. I saw no more ghosts that night. Eventually, my body gave in and I finally fell asleep. The morning after in the kitchen, I told my friend what had happened after we had stopped talking the previous night. I told him that the girl had leapt for me across his bed. He looked at me and replied, "I know. I felt her pass through my legs." I will never forget it. I saw the ghosts a few more times, but never anything as intense as that, and I had difficulty sleeping in that room for several more years, even after I stopped believing in ghosts. I bought a dream catcher and imagined it kept me safe during the night, letting me rest easier. Eventually, my interest waned and I stopped believing that what I had experienced were actually ghosts. I still have the very clear memories of all of it, though, and still find it fascinating. Feel free to ask any questions about this.
Are we talking about straight up seeing?
So like they'd feel it there, and then in their mind's eye, like painted them there, and like they could kind of see it, like, but not really. Very strange.
Like you're just psychically sort of understanding.
Yeah, exactly. So it could be a hyperactive imagination.
I'm just saying, once again, if a ghost crawled across the floor and like came at me, and I was like, I believe it to be real, there's no way I could ever be like, I guess it was just an overactive imagination. Yeah. I would be like, ghosts are real, everyone. Yep. Ghosts are real. And I saw it, and then fucking attacked me. Oh, God, its mouth cracked open, and its eyes were bloodshot. Oh, you couldn't stop me. I would go outside. I'd tell everyone they had to lock my ass away.
Well, that was a horrifying story, so thank you for that. I'll try to pronounce your name again. Hachiseko. That's horrifying. That is actually, like, if that actually happened to me, I don't know how you spent multiple years still sleeping in that room. I just don't know how. It has that
good, weird, like, scary ghost vibe to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't seem fake because it's, like, very specific and weird.
Yeah, very, very specifically detailed. That's our fan stories for the day, though, boys. That ends episode 63 of the Chilluminati podcast.
What a nice little selection of stories. We got something from all corners, and Jesse got to bring closure to some people's haunted dreams. You know, you love to see it.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Your professionalism, and it will hopefully allow those people to sleep easier at night, Jesse.
And your scary stories will negate all of the good work I've done here today. So,
and so we continue on in a never-ending cycle of Chilluminati podcast. You guys want to drop your stories? Honestly, head over to the subreddit, Chilluminati Pod. That's where I harvest almost everything a couple times through the emails.
I don't like how you say that.
Harvest it all out of the Chilluminati subreddit.
No,
head over there. You can also tweet at us directly at Chilluminati Pod. As for myself, I'm not at Fossiane A. That's where Alex is, but I am at Mathis Games. Alex, where can people find you?
Well, you kind of stole my thunder, but you can find me at Fossiane A on Twitter. And please look for mine and Jesse's podcast with Davis, the Star Wars New Canon Book Club. New episodes like every other week or so ish. At this point, we're doing pretty good about that. So come listen to us yell at each other about Star Wars as Jesse and Alex slowly watch Davis radicalize himself as a far right.
Wait, what? What is happening on that podcast?
It's just that he doesn't like The Last Jedi, and it's hard to not like The Last Jedi and not slowly like get YouTube recommended into like a bad algorithm.
Every time he has an opinion, it's like very, very close to just the wrong thing.
He even says things like I started watching a video, and then like 5 minutes into the video, I was like, am I being indoctrinated? Like, what is this?
Oh my God. Jesus Christ, Davis. Get out, dude. Get out.
So go listen to that show, please.
Yeah, because it sounds like a good time. Jesse, what about you, man?
Hey, listen to Chilluminati podcast. Tell your friends. Tell your friends to listen to it.
You doing a promo for Chilluminati on Chilluminati?
I am. It's like really good. Even though some of the things they say on it are totally made up nonsense. I think they got a really nice friendship going on there. And the guy who's a skeptic, I hear, is very handsome and definitely
available for marriage.
A master lover is what I was going to say.
Master lover.
Fuck
lord, if you will.
Fuck lord. That's your level up when you go from fuck boy to fuck lord.
Yeah. And that's it. You can find me all over the internet. It's just my name. And that's it for us, everybody.
The best branding you could hope for, just your name. We'll be back next week with some more Chilluminati. Thanks for listening, everybody. I gotta get rid of these hiccups. Goodbye. Anyway. Me and my wife were sitting outside indulging on our porch one night, enjoying ourselves. I needed to go to the bathroom, so I stepped back inside, and after a few moments, I hear my wife go, "Holy shit, get out here." So I quickly dash back outside, and she's looking up at the sky in awe. I look up too, and there's a perfect line of dozen lights traveling across the sky.